gasoline prices have come down, but quietly the price for a barrel of oil has risen about $4 in the last 3 days. Where do you see the trajectory now?
Well, that's right. And in addition to oil going up, RBOB, which is gasoline before ethanol is added, has been going up as well. So I still think there is some downside for retail prices. Probably, we've seen some pretty incredible drops, 2 cents at a time, 2.5 cents at a time, penny and a half at a time. I think that's going to slow down first. We probably have another 5, 6, 7 cents of downside before we probably kind of pause and then reverse and maybe, kind of hang out in this $4 area.
Yeah, gasoline, obviously we talk about oil, but nobody, 99.99% of our audience doesn't buy oil. They buy refined products like gasoline and everything else, Denton. And of course, there has been some official government data that shows that demand has come down. In other words, prices spiked and people drove less, but there's some private things like Gas Buddy that sort of said, well, we're not seeing a real drop off in demand. What do you think the real story is?
Yeah, I do think we've seen some drop off demand. We get retail volumes from a bunch of stations around the country, probably about a third of the stations in the U.S. And on a week to week basis, it could be really choppy. But when you look at it versus a year ago, 5, 6, 7% gasoline demand declines is certainly out there. That's showing up in the EIA data as well. So yeah, I do think people are driving less. And it really started obviously when prices got above $5. We got to 501 on June 14th. That's when people said, okay, enough's enough. And whether that's you can't just stop driving, but you can change your habits. And it does take a little time for that to come through. And we're seeing that.
Everything is about perspective. I mean, $90 a barrel was really high on the upside. Suddenly we're happy about $90 a barrel. It's like being happy that inflation, quote, cooled to 8.5%. That said, Denton, I mean, part of me thinks, wow, we're at $92 a barrel, and we just released 160 million barrels from our strategic petroleum reserve that has to be refilled. Thank goodness we've had no named hurricanes so far this year. I'm going to knock on wood on that one. And these European sanctions on December 5th. I mean, it's not hard to make for a case for oil back to $1.25 or $1.50 even.
That's right. And I'm going to knock on wood, too, with the hurricanes, because you obviously never want to see a hurricane or a major hurricane especially. But we're watching that swath of the country between New Orleans and Corpus Christi, Texas. Anything in that area is real potential for danger. Obviously, you mentioned the SPR, and I do think what the SPR did, it didn't necessarily bring down prices, although prices are coming down or have come down. I think what it did do is it kept prices from going up to those 130, 140, 150 type levels that people were kind of forecasting.
Yeah, but is there an argument that when the European sanctions hit, automatically, let's say we assume a couple million barrels come off the market from Russia, so prices are likely to go up. Could you make the alternate argument and say, well, what if they just flood the market? Is there a chance that prices could crash on that? I mean, the oil market has a way of doing things, Denton, as you know, that don't make a lot of sense sometimes.
Very true. Very true. And, I do think that I don't think they'll come in and crash the market. Obviously, Russia needs the money, et cetera. One of the interesting things that's happened over the course of since the invasion in late February, a lot of Russian oil still made it to the market, whether that was going to China or India. So I don't necessarily see how, we lose the 3 million barrels a day that we thought we were going to lose. I mean, kind of been waiting for it. There's other elements to that we have lost. It's, intermediate feedstocks that go to refineries, diesel, components that go into making gasoline. Sure, those had to be replaced. But as far as a massive loss of Russian oil, just really haven't seen it so far.